we're back to the switch. And before we continue our journey after these first 3 or 4 episodes that we had together, I want to address a very important matter, right? So in the first episode, I told you the very basics about how you could flick the switch, right? In minutes, literally, by taking 6 steps. That's a fundamental. And then we've been talking about how you can build yourself a mental palace, right? Or a mind palace or a retreat abode for you to simply make quality time for yourself. And it's a space for self-awareness and personal development, okay? What did we cover in the 3rd episode of The Switch? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, of course. We talked about inspiration. How, and the mojo, how it's important also to make sure that, as you start getting used to flick the switch, right? You're not surprised sometimes if your mojo is not there, right? There's actually some background work to do for that, right? To keep your mojo going, okay? So these have been very fundamental things, right? And I'm starting a new series about addictions, right? I'm not sure if this podcast is going to hit the web before or after it, but I guess I want to take a pause here, and I want to address the important question of the philosophical framework I'm proposing and how it fits with the one you may have already in place, right? Because everyone has an existing view of the world, right? An existing grid or matrix to read what's happening around us, right? And it's not the same, and it stems probably from education, largely from the home environment, right? From how you've been brought up by your family, by your parents, and also by the school system, right? So that means that it's part of the culture, right? And the school system you've been part of. And I'm in a courtyard today, which is really cool, right? I'm in Geneva, in Switzerland. It's very quiet. I think it's already school holidays, right? So, but anyways, I thought it would be a nice environment to talk about that and about how we set the basics really in our lives, and how does it work with what I'm proposing, right? So you can legitimately ask, listen, Lucas, who are you to give us lessons and lectures and to start telling us the new tables of law and all that, right? So how legitimate are you? Are you a scholar? Are you a priest, a rabbi? Are you a doctor? Are you a PhD? I'll be honest, I'm none of that. I've learned at the school of life, so to speak, but not just on me, right? Of course, I've done my own journey and my own research in these important matters, right? Of spirituality and philosophy. Philosophy was a topic I really loved when I was in high school, and that was the lowest mark I ever got when I did my HSC or my baccalaureate. In the end, I was very disappointed because really that's something I loved, and here I am today talking about philosophy of life and values and all this. But yes, of course, I've got my own framework and my own philosophy and my own religion or spiritual beliefs, right? And I'm trying, of course, to make sure that I take that out of the picture as I'm talking to you, public and viewers on the web, whom I don't know yet, and I'm looking forward to knowing better through your interactions and the commenting you would grant me, and questioning and the challenges, right, all together. I'm looking forward to talking to people disagreeing strongly with me, of course. I'm French, and we love debating. There's nothing like a healthy debate, right? But at the same time, I think I cannot avoid, at some point, positioning what I'm putting forward, the claims, the frameworks, the ideas, the concepts, and the tips, the methods I'm offering here. I probably will need to put them in perspective with the most common and traditional views of the world out there, right? Because at the end of the day, it's okay. We're borrowing concepts from everywhere. Obviously, our background is my background is largely Judeo-Christian. I was raised mostly Catholic in my young age, but I was in a very communist oriented family, right, which was atheist. After that, and then I did my own journey, right, of spirituality, and I went through a lot of and I'm still going through a lot of things, including Taoism and Judaism and Confucianism and all the Hermeticism, Gnosticism, So you pick learnings, of course, from scholars, from where you can, from rational thinkers, right? But sometimes, when it comes down to faith and the most fundamental concepts and the views of the world and the view of what man is, what a being human is, that will start going down into the area of personal beliefs and belief systems. Okay, so I will make sure, moving forward, to refer to main school of thoughts, right, around concepts. For instance, one of the base questions we would ask ourselves as we speak about flicking the switch, right? And I told you already that I believe that we are not our brain, right? There's something else. Like our brain is this thing in this big box here, bold box, as far as I'm concerned, and it's an organ. It's a vehicle, right? So there's a lot of biochemistry going on and electric signals going back and forth throughout my body and neuroreceptors, hormones, you name it. Right? It's a very complex machinery. But who I am really is something, around that. I'm not just my brain, I'm more whole than that, right? So that brings the concept of soul, right? And of course, big topic, because some people believe we have a soul, and some people don't. They just say, no, we are animals, we're just machines, right? And it starts with a big divide here, right? So if you don't believe in the soul or in your form of inner wisdom or vitality, something that transcends your body and that is conveyed by your body and it can express itself through your body whilst you're in this world. But yeah, that's if you disagree with that, that's going to be complicated, right? To start talking about any form of control, self-control, and flicking the switch, right? So, for instance, I'll pose some very strong postulates and axioms here that we have a soul, right? We are not just our body, right? There's a conscience and awareness, a consciousness, and that matters because that's going to orient the conversation. And then we are going to get into a more detailed discussion about the anatomy of the soul, right? Or of the body, of course, as far as we talk about our physical routines and how we maintain this beautiful machinery, right here, and how we keep it in good order. But also, same thing. Well, is the soul just one blob, or actually is it a little bit more complex than that, right? Are there some parts, right? So we will have to refer to the Christian, generally speaking, Christian. I'm not going to go into Protestant, Catholics, Orthodox, and all these distinctions, right? We'll talk about Christian views of that. We'll talk about the Judaism view of that, right? Which includes a lot of concepts out of Kabbalah, for instance, and ancient schools of mysteries, coming back to Egyptian traditions. We can talk about a little bit about the Muslim view to that, and of course the Oriental view of that, of Taoism, Confucianism, Hinduism, Buddhism, right? And each of them has a slightly different spin on the soul and on the anatomy of the soul, right? And how it's built and how it works. The soul is going to be really important for us. The mind, the soul, all these concepts which transcend our brain and our thoughts and our body, they are going to be instrumental and material to anything we are going to undertake here, right? So just want to be upfront about that, and we'll talk about, as part of this ensemble of things, we will open up, unpack this, and delve into what's the mind, what's the rational mind, and what's rationality and critical thinking versus the realm of emotions, which are probably more grounded and anchored in the physical part of our being, right? And I'm being very cautious because, again, I'll give you a spin and maybe a comparison and a difference between the different religions, because I know that you, viewer, you've been brought up and you've been educated with a specific thought system. And I don't want to hurt or violate any of your existing beliefs. I just want to chart the territories and help you navigate that and map it out and maybe find some connections and gateways and correspondences that are going to work for you, right? And at some point, maybe there will be showstoppers, and you're going to tell, Lucas, this is really going too far. This is pushing me out of my comfort zone, and I don't think I'm going to continue listening to your mumbling and your rambling. Or to the contrary, you're going to say, okay, so actually what Lucas is saying in that regard, that makes sense. I'm Muslim or I'm a Buddhist, and actually in my belief system, this equates to this concept or to this view, right? Or to this method and approach of thinking. So I think it's quite important because the switch has a very ambitious goal of helping you to think right for you, right? Not right towards any external truth or arbitrary truth, right? But it helps you to leverage your full potential, right? And when you're impaired, find the switch and flick it, right? Or when you want to reach the next level, find this hidden switch, right? That is going to get you to the next level. So, we're going to maybe to do a little bit of gamification, so to speak here, because it's really at the end of the day, the core belief here is that we are in a growth journey, right? We are not here to be like trees, right? Staying. I mean, although trees are growing, you see these ones. Yeah, they're pretty big. They've taken years, centuries, maybe sometimes to grow, right? Very slowly, very steadily, but they can't move. Right? They are in one place, or maybe even they move in other dimensions, but in the 3D world we know they can't move. And we're not that, right? We can move and we can evolve and we can grow. Not like the trees, but just like the trees also at times, right? So it's a growth journey. And that's all it's all about, right? And we are going to find all the little switches we need to help us in this ascension, in this climbing towards our better selves, simply. Okay, so I hope it makes sense. So we are going to get a little bit philosophical at times. We are going to get a little bit theological. We're going to do a mild exegesis of some texts, maybe, or I'll refer to some of the core texts and the core tenets of each philosophy and religion. We'll talk about science, of course, as part of that, right? It's not just about religions. Science has an explanation about, for instance, emotions and about the theory of motivation. This is a really important chapter, actually, when you do your first year in psychology, as I did. That's one of the first topic, emotions and the theory of motivation, right? So, of course, I'll give you some pointers. Well, it's not going to be a psychology course, but we'll refer to that and make sure we don't forget about some fundamentals of psychology for self-awareness and self-analysis, really, as we progress through this journey. All right, from Geneva with love and care. I'll see you again in the switch very soon.